Hello, welcome back. Thank you, as always, for joining me. We're going to continue the theme from our last conversation, from the very last video, and that is simplicity. That indeed is what is so compelling, hence the title for our conversation here today. And you may find yourself asking, especially if this is the first time that you've seen one of these videos, well, welcome for starters. You may find yourself asking, okay, why are we stressing simplicity? Why are we paying so much attention to the simple statement, truth is true? Yeah, that kind of simplicity, basic, obvious level, truth is true. So, why are we paying attention to this? And why, in particular, would we even be devoting two consecutive videos to this? Why are we doing this again? It's so yesterday. Well, it actually is from yesterday's video, yes. Why? Because we don't recognize it. In fact, we refuse to recognize it. We refuse to recognize truth, though it is right in front of us, it's all around us, and it is us. Yet we don't see it. We see instead all of the multitudinous complications that we ourselves have made. We're, in fact, running from truth, afraid of it, and afraid of the sheer simplicity that is so beautiful and gracious and compelling. When we choose to see ourselves as an individual, as separate from our brother, from God, from all existing life forms, when we choose to compartmentalize ourselves and view ourselves as other than, we limit our awareness. We throw a veil over our eyes, in a manner of speaking. We don't see things in their sheer beauty, joy, love, and simplicity. We don't see perfect oneness, which, by the way, is all that there is. And we suffer needlessly, needlessly. Are you done with that? Only you can truly and honestly answer that question for yourself, and indeed, each of us must. Have we had enough? Are we sick and tired of being sick and tired? Are we done with this endless round of the same old, same old? Sickness, pain, and what we call death. The inherent and completely inevitable fallibility of this little thing here that we take to be us. Are we tired of suffering? Put it a different way. Are you sick of being in hell? And would you return home? That's the question. And no one else can answer it for you. You will not be forced to do anything. Now, people often say that they feel as though they're dragged to the spiritual path, kicking and screaming. Well, that's a common enough experience. Any resistance that you may encounter, any at all, in fact, every last little shred of it is the ego. It is this false sense of individual self that's resisting. The Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, who is part of our mind, does not coerce. The Holy Spirit's guidance is loving and patient, not coercive. That would hardly be a constructive way to teach somebody. It's not really teaching at all, because when you force somebody to do something, they're apt to do the exact opposite just to spite you. I mean, think of our own experience in life, right? It's not that way. This is our own free will and free election to choose right now in the present moment, truth or illusion. Truth is true. We went over this in the last video, and if you have not seen it, I invite you to take a look at that. It is the very most recent video in this series. And yeah, truth is true. This is the Holy Spirit's first and most basic, and indeed only, teaching. They take many forms, but it all boils down to this. Truth is true. This is simple. And it's what we don't want to hear. We do, but we don't, right? Can you relate to this? It is this message that we're afraid of when we try to heap complications on to our lives. Truth is uncomplicated. We're very, very fond of saying here in the world that all of this is some great mystery. God is some great mystery. Truth is some great, imponderable mystery. No, it's not. What mystery? There's no mystery. Truth is all that there is. Truth is true. Put it in different words. God is. What's implicit in that statement is very important. Only God is. God is the only reality. All else is illusion. Hearing this, as you may be hearing this for the first time or the 1000th time, actually, it doesn't make any difference. Recognize that any resistance you have to the simplicity of truth, the sheer beauty and joy and magnificence of truth, which all we can do with words is point to it. It can be experienced, i.e., known. Here in words, all we can do is point out the beauty of it. We can point to it. This truth is who we are. And we could choose. Power you have right now is beyond words. You could choose to recognize it. You could choose to recognize it. This is the message here in A Course in Miracles. You could choose to recognize who and what and where you are, and you know where you are. You know. Even though it appears to us in the world that we're in this precise GPS detectable geographic location that we all made up, we appear to be right here. I appear to be in this room, and this is the microphone, and that's the camera. And we're talking right now from across time zones and continents and stuff, which is kind of cool when you think about it. But we appear to be here. We say we're here, wherever here is, at home, Arizona, the United States, North America, the Western Hemisphere, all of those artificial, and they're all completely artificial divisions that we impose here in the world. We all know that this is not who we really truly are. Yeah, our biology textbooks tell us that. Our conditioning from our society and the mass media tell us this is what it is. Adore this thing. Yeah, treat it like it's going to last forever, though, of course, it doesn't. You know, I'm not saying don't take care of it. Do that. If you like to work out, keep working out. because there are people out there that need you to bring the light of the Holy Spirit that will relate best to you. Not me, not anyone else, but you. You are destined, selected, if you will, scripted, if you want to call it that, to work with certain people. They will hear the message of the Holy Spirit best through you. So why don't you do what you feel you're called to do and need to do in order to bring the light to them? This is what we do when we forgive the Son of God. We're bringing the light. We're sharing the Holy Spirit with them. That's what's happening right now. We share the Holy Spirit with our brother. This is how we, in fact, learn of our oneness, because our brother recognizes the Holy Spirit in us and returns it. We then recognize it too in ourselves. Truth is true. We try repeatedly here in the world to make untruth true. We try to make the unreal real. We try to make the unreal real. And we insist that the unreal is real and defend the unreal, calling it real. And when someone has the honesty and the love to come forth and tell you this is not the Son of God, do you resist and run away and wish to condemn the pixelated image on your screen or the book, the bound edition, this big blue book that's over 1,000 pages in length? Do you condemn that? Do you condemn all spirituality and say, yeah, no, run and hide? I don't know. It's up to you. I mean, no one will stop you from that. This is what we've been trying to do ad nauseum, trying to make the unreal real. And we cannot. So, wouldn't it be better to simply drop your defenses? You do not need them at all. Set all of your armor and weapons aside. You don't need a sharpened sword. You have no opponent. You have no opponent. Truth is true. God is. God, by the way, is love. Perfect oneness. No, consider this. Perfect oneness does not have any divisions. There is no separate other out there. There's no out there. There is only perfect oneness. So, quite naturally, we have no opponent. Lay down your arms mentally. Yes. Now, people have said, well, what about if someone attacks me? Should I not defend myself? Yes, of course you should. Right? Or better yet, before striking a blow, you could, if it's possible, talk your way out of it. I don't know, situational ethic, right? This is not what this course is actually all about. It's a course in mind training, and this lesson, as well as all of these lessons here on this channel, aim to present this course in the purely non-dual framework with which it is intended. Can this be wildly misinterpreted? Oh, yeah, of course it can. So can any spiritual tradition, as we readily see here in the world. Huh? We're invited to learn under the guidance of our inner teacher. Again, the Holy Spirit is part of our mind. Jesus is the Holy Spirit. He's accomplished his part. He is the Holy Spirit. There's no distinction. So, yeah, if it's him that you wish to learn from, do that. Right? Our inner teacher can go by, in fact, any name that you choose to give it. And you could actually, should you wish to, choose to give our inner teacher multiple names and call it your team or your counsel or your guides, whatever works for you to set the ego aside. Call the Holy Spirit what you will. In fact, I often refer to the Holy Spirit as it with a gender neutral pronoun. It's actually not a human being. It's part of our mind that sees through all the illusion, all of our drama and BS, everything that we've wrought, thinking and willing to die in defense of the idea that we're separate beings. No, we're not. And deep down, you do know this. Now, we may need a talking head, a pixelated image on your screen that appears to be a middle-aged man from Arizona. I mean, that's what it looks like, right? You know, we may need to hear it from just such a talking head over and over again. Who knows? We deep down all know who, what, and where we are, truly. As I'm fond of saying, and it needs to be said, that's why we're on the spiritual path in the first place. So whether you adopt a Course in Miracles as your primary practice or an auxiliary as a complement to another practice or tradition or set of traditions doesn't make the slightest bit of difference. What's germane, what is directly relevant is that you're watching this right now. You're here today. That is what counts. There is a reason why it is highly likely that your inner teacher, which is also our inner teacher, has said something to you that you need to hear. And it has hit you, however it has hit you, whatever that may be, you're meant to be here. If it hasn't happened yet, stick around until the very end because it's bound to. There's a reason why you've been directed to this channel. Of course, there is. There are no coincidences. There are no accidents in salvation. There are no accidents at all. You're meant to be here today. So, what has your inner teacher told you that you would do very well to pay attention to? What will inspire you to practice? God is everywhere, and his Son is in him with everything. Chapter 14, Section 2, Paragraph 8 of the text. God is everywhere, and his Son is in him with everything. The Son of God, by the way, does not simply refer to the historical Jesus. Of course, he's the Son of God. And of course, so are you. So am I. So is your worst political enemy. Remember, you have no opponents in truth. The Son of God is one, just as God is one. The Son of God is the extension of God, God's creation. He's the creator. We are the created, the extension of God. God extends himself. There is only perfect oneness. The simplicity of this is compelling. It's what draws us to the spiritual path in the first place. this deep inner knowing, whether you have ever expressed it consciously or not, think about it right now because you're here. Truth is so gracious, it's so magnificent, limitless, and compelling that it draws us. It is light that draws us irrevocably. Let yourself be drawn today. As we wrap up, that's a good message. Let yourself be led by your inner teacher as far today as you're willing to go. And then do it again tomorrow and the next day. And for the rest of this lifetime, as far as you're willing to be led along the road, along the path, so to speak. Remember where you really are, we're not actually going anywhere. What we're doing is we're using that as a very useful and helpful analogy, the path, your walk. Yeah. We're perfectly at home in God as the Son of God. So I thank you for joining me. What you get here is, well, what the Course says and what Jesus means to say. Pure and simple, just like that. There may be, and it is bound to happen on the spiritual path, questions and confusion and items that this course mentions, ideas that it brings to the front of your mind that may seem utterly confusing, perplexing, mysterious, and even wrong. Questions are quite natural. What we're invited to do here as we study and practice A Course in Miracles, should you pick this up and walk with it, is it question the very foundations of everything we now believe. Nothing less. We're aiming to turn our perception right side up. It is clearly upside down when it perceives separation, separation, separation. No, there is no separation of any kind. So does this take time? Yeah, of course it does. That's what time is for. So, to the extent that doubt and frustration and questions are creeping up in your experience, that is perfectly normal. And please do not beat yourself up. Give yourself some grace because there is nothing wrong with you. It is not here in the world an easy process to set aside an entire thought system and replace it with another one. But of these two thought systems, only one of them is true. So along the way, I am here and more than willing to serve as a guide and a resource for you if you have questions related to this course or your spiritual practice in general. There have been a number of excellent discussions. This is a safe place to have those here. And if you wish to simply pop in and say hello, I invite you to do that. It'd be great to hear from you. This is a growing international community, so thank you to all of you who have recently subscribed. If you have not, please do. This is the prompt here in the corner of your screen. Just click that arrow. You'll be invited to subscribe and join us. So I hope that you do that. These videos come several times a week. But we need them as adult learners because you never know. It may be the 2,375th time that you hear the exact same thing where, boom, the light goes on. And when it does, as many of you know, it is a beautiful thing indeed. All right. Thank you for joining me.